Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone. I'm Brad Garlinghouse. I'm the CEO of Ripple, and I am incredibly excited to welcome you to our 5th annual Ripple Swell Global and our 2nd virtual event. It really is an honor and frankly a privilege to have you with us today. I'm looking forward to 2 incredible days of presentations, fireside chats, panels, and more from leaders such as the CEO of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, the chief economist at Allianz, Mohamed El-Arian, the CEO of Alliance for Innovation Regulation, Joanne Barefoot, as well as the former CFTC Commissioner, Brian Quintenz. We're also going to have customers and partners of Ripple's, including Asimo, Neum, People, Modular, and Tranglo. Each of them will be sharing their experience and insights working with Ripple and their experience working with RippleNet. The spirit of Swell is not one defined by being in person or being virtual, but rather the conversation of where we are and the conversation about what's possible. As the world moves at an increasingly fast pace to a crypto-enabled future, I want to take a step back first and look back to October 2017, our very first Swell in Toronto, Canada. The world looked vastly different at that time. The entire market cap of the crypto market was barely $200 billion. 4 years later, the world is accelerating towards digitization in many sectors, in large part because of the pandemic. Commerce is global from day one, and the value being sent across borders is growing by the trillions. The global economy has truly started to reawaken after the last year and a half. Concerns certainly remain globally about inflation, supply chain, and how climate change is already affecting communities and economies. Of course, it's also worth knowing that crypto's market cap has grown from that $200 billion to well over $3 trillion. And the world is paying very close attention to what's happening in this sector. Blockchain and crypto use cases like cross-border payments are firmly outside the sandbox stage. And more recently, things like NFTs have continued to push crypto into the mainstream consciousness. It's very clear to me that different blockchains have and will have different use cases. There are going to be a lot of winners at the end of the day. This is and will be a multi-chain world. We've also seen in the past year that not a day goes by that crypto isn't mentioned from regulators, business titans, thought leaders, and more. Governments globally are feeling the pressure to take a stance on crypto. We saw from El Salvador to China, governments are putting a stake in the ground on crypto on one end of the spectrum or the other. Large or small financial institutions and fintechs, including many of you, our customers, are determining their crypto and blockchain strategy for the long term, with growing awareness of how these technologies can solve pain points in multiple enterprise use cases. Tech giants are among the countless opining on the potential of these technologies on a daily basis. Yet despite all this attention and progress, much of the world still remains unbanked. The good news is that we're seeing more people enter the global economy through access to mobile wallets and crypto. I've said a couple times, and I will during this talk, a couple times about stepping back. There's little doubt about how far we have come, but I'm incredibly excited for the journey ahead. Using a benchmark I've used previously, I'd say we've only hit mile 2 of the marathon ahead. With that macro look back, I'd like to reflect on the theme we decided to focus on for this year's Swell. It's all about unlocking boundaries. We're here today because we believe in bridges between traditional financial systems and the new world of crypto-enabled systems, not boundaries. This is about expanding access to the global economy for all by interconnecting previously siloed systems and walled gardens. With that worldview in mind, I'd like to also share an update on Ripple's business. How's it been going for Team Ripple? Well, let me start off with some thoughts on the state of the network, what we call RippleNet. For years, we've been focused on building and deploying RippleNet to solve the many frictions with cross-border payments, especially remittances. Since the network has been live, we've processed millions of transactions worth many billions of dollars. In 2021 itself, we will process many millions of transactions, about 6 million, which is going to grow well over 100% from 2020. At Swell 2018, we announced on-demand liquidity, our first product, a service with RippleNet that allows customers to instantly move money around the world at any time, even weekends and holidays, without the need for pre-funded accounts or is often a cumbersome correspondent banking relationships that take days to settle They're certainly costly and can be very error-prone. This is achieved through the power of XRP, the digital asset native to the XRP ledger, which is built into our technology stack. ODL certainly as a product had its best year ever. ODL customers today can now access over 20 countries around the world for their payment needs, including Japan, Mexico, the UAE, the Philippines, Australia, UK, and more. From a year ago, our ODL transactions across RippleNet have grown 25 times. And even compared to last quarter, it grew 130% quarter over quarter. ODL transactions now account for 25% of the total dollar volume across the network. What this shows is that more and more customers are getting comfortable with using digital assets, using XRP within their payment flows. All of this growth really is coming from outside of the United States. While our US ODL flows were essentially halted due to regulatory uncertainty at the beginning of the year, international ODL volume has really continued to surge. The explosive growth of ODL is a testament to the best-in-class product experience and the benefits our customers are seeing firsthand. ODL is thriving in jurisdictions where first and foremost there is that regulatory clarity we have sought here in the United States. In addition, though, these are countries that are embracing innovation and understand that crypto ultimately will be to the benefit of consumers, the benefit of those end users. Crypto is critical to creating a more inclusive, equitable, and efficient global financial system. Let me give you one example. A really good example, I think, is the UK, which has not only established a clear framework for crypto, but has an active innovation sandbox overseen by their national regulator, the FCA, and regularly interacts with industry for future regulation. That conversation is helping the UK be a leader in the market. We started building RippleNet with the thesis that crypto liquidity would eventually be able to support robust global payments, large payments. RippleNet was designed so that customers seeing the benefits of our fiat-based network could flip the switch to ODL once the market was mature enough. And this is exactly what's happening. In fact, 3 out of 5 of our highest transacting customers in 2020 have now upgraded to ODL to leverage the benefits of XRP-powered payments for their business. It's been about a year now since we launched another product called Line of Credit. Line of Credit offers the ability to have delayed payment terms for our ODL customers. Now, this product came about by listening to our customers' pain points, listening to them around the limited access to working capital, the expense of working capital, as a huge barrier to growth and their ability to scale. If you look backwards, fintechs and payment service providers, PSPs, were creating bespoke credit arrangements with each partner in each destination market with more overhead and more management. Ripple's product Line of Credit solves this problem by providing upfront access to capital for every market through one simple credit arrangement, simplifying access to financial solutions that accelerate business performance and allow them to scale. We have multiple customers using Line of Credit today to access capital on demand. Not surprisingly, this is a rapidly growing new offering for our RippleNet customers. Stepping back again for a moment, I think we can all agree that crypto and blockchain really are more mainstream than have ever been the case. As the world grows more tokenized, RippleNet is also evolving to provide more than just crypto-enabled instant cross-border payments. It's about being the bridge between a growing world of tokenized assets and traditional enterprises that want to enter this space. This translates to the capabilities I just mentioned with ODL, Line of Credit, and our expansion into different types of payments, such as internal treasury management for customers. As these trends have continued to play out, one of the critical insights we have had here at Team Ripple is that a foundational element for tokenization and crypto broadly is liquidity. Everything starts with liquidity. Liquidity is the reason why all of this is possible. Crypto markets have exploded over the past couple of years, meaning there are levels of liquidity that can support value exchange on a more global scale. We've gone from millions of dollars of liquidity per day to billions of dollars of liquidity per day. And I have little doubt that will continue to grow by orders of magnitude in the years to come. It's worth noting that part of the reason why traditional financial systems were so inefficient, slow, and expensive is because of the lack of liquidity for most currencies outside of the G20. crypto really, in my judgment, has upended what we used to take for granted. And this is driving the core of our entire business within RippleNet and RippleX. On that note, given this opportunity, it only makes sense for Ripple to bring our expertise to the market and help other partners. I'm incredibly excited to announce today that Ripple is launching a new product called Liquidity Hub. While we are just in alpha product stage right now, this is where the enterprises can easily and efficiently source digital assets from the broader crypto market. We want to offer our customers this ability as they look to offer their end users the ability to buy, sell, hold digital assets at the best prices from a breadth of liquidity venues. The ability to tap into global liquidity pools through smart order routing at the best prices, all via RippleNet's trusted platform, we think will be a game changer for the industry. Ashish Burla, one of the key leaders on Team Ripple, our RippleNet general manager, is going to be sharing more in a special presentation about Liquidity Hub and the ins and outs of Liquidity Hub, so I won't steal too much of his thunder. Suffice it to say, this is a big step in the Ripple evolution to be the bridge between tokenized services and traditional enterprises. With all of that said, RippleNet is not the only business unit making waves at Team Ripple. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about what our other business unit, RippleX, has been up to as well. The same way that liquidity is at the core of RippleNet, it is also true for RippleX. RippleX is led by Monica Long as general manager, is expanding the use cases for tokenizing and moving assets globally by contributing code, building tools, programs, and services for developers to build on top of the XRP ledger. This allows businesses, consumers, institutions, and governments to fuel the engine of a new digital economy, providing access to a host of tokenized services like NFTs and CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. The XRP ledger is core to our business, and its inherent characteristics of speed, low cost, scalability, and very importantly, carbon neutrality and security make it perfect for movement of all value. The XRP ledger was the first blockchain to have a native decentralized exchange, also known as a DEX, natively built in, which allows for seamless transfer of value. Thousands of tokens, more than 5,000, have been launched on top of the XRP ledger since its inception. This is liquidity, plain and simple. RippleX is doubling down on incredible value and potential of the XRP ledger DEX, where it has meaningful and durable differentiation amongst other blockchains by helping build and foster new tokenization use cases. As part of this, and some of you already are probably aware, in September, the RippleX team launched a $250 million creator fund, what we call a creator fund. This provides technical, creative, and financial support for creators, brands, and marketplaces to explore new use cases for NFTs on the XRP ledger. Ripple has teamed up with NFT marketplaces and creative agencies that will integrate with the XRP ledger to deliver a seamless NFT experience for developers and help creators and brand clients create their NFTs. In my judgment, digital art is just the tip of the iceberg for NFTs. We see a world in which they support other use cases such as fractional ownership, carbon credits, property, novel experiences, real estate, and much more. CBDCs also have been a focus area for RippleX. Some of you have been paying close attention. Earlier this year, we launched our private CBDC solution, which leverages a private version of the public open source XRP ledger. Our CBDC solution ensures that central banks have greater control over issuance, management, privacy, and validation that they would get with public blockchains. In September, we announced a pilot project with the Royal Monetary Authority of Bhutan. We're very excited to get going on that. They're turning to blockchain as part of its strategy to enhance digital and cross-border payments, expand financial inclusion efforts that are already underway in their country, and extend its commitment to sustainability as the only carbon negative country in the world. Across both RippleNet and RippleX, we're leaning into the tokenization of everything. I think we took a pragmatic approach early on to work with financial institutions and to work with governments, not against them. Ripple has been building products for years that were first in market for enterprises to embrace and utilize crypto. We're doubling down on this trend because it's continuing to accelerate. I'm incredibly pleased with the progress we've made, despite the headwinds in the United States because of the United States regulatory dynamics. Our international growth on both the RippleNet and RippleX fronts have been extraordinary and by no means slowing down. Okay, so I've alluded to the regulatory headwinds here in the United States. I want to take a moment to address that kind of elephant in the room. Global regulation and the status of the lawsuit we're facing here in the United States from the SEC. So first of all, broadly speaking, I think blockchain and crypto are core infrastructure technologies of the future. We're seeing a lot of countries like Singapore, the UK of reference, Japan, Switzerland, and even the UAE, they are forging ahead and they are leaders in the regulatory clarity that innovation needs to thrive. Innovation is moving to these countries because the regulators have set clear rules and frameworks, as well as worked with the industry. As many of you know, Ripple has engaged with regulators globally from the earliest stages, and we will certainly continue to do so. I've been very encouraged by the level of attention and knowledge that global regulators and policymakers are putting on these important technologies. And we're looking forward to continuing to work productively with them to support innovation and making sure consumers are protected. Now, that said, sitting here in the United States, it's interesting the US really has been a laggard on the global stage for crypto regulation. If you followed this closely, I said when the SEC first sued Ripple that I think it's become increasingly obvious to the entire market that the SEC lawsuit impacts all of the crypto and fintech industry here in the United States, not just Ripple. Despite what some in the current US SEC claims, we do not have a clear framework for how consumers and businesses can utilize these technologies. Unfortunately, what we've seen so far is regulation by enforcement, where the industry players don't know what the rules of the road are and the SEC tries to clarify them through legal action. I think this is an attack on crypto innovation, and I firmly believe when the dust settles, Ripple will not only be on the right side of the law, but we will also be on the right side of history. It's been over 10 months now since the SEC sued Ripple, and our case is moving fairly quickly in the comparison with typical federal cases. We've won some important rulings, really calling to account and forcing the SEC to be more transparent about their policies and their deliberations and their internal rules. I think this clarity is good for the entire industry. I'm hopeful, despite the SEC's efforts to slow things down, that we'll keep the court case moving quickly and we can get closure and clarity for Ripple and for really all of the XRP community. I also want to take a moment to update you about Team Ripple. I am hugely proud of what this team has achieved in the past year, particularly given the headwinds of the US regulatory environment. We had our best hiring quarter ever in Q3. Our international offices have been growing leaps and bounds. We're lucky to have two incredible regional managing directors in Brooks Entwistle in Singapore, as well as Cindy Young in London join earlier this year. A key priority, which also has remained very top of mind for Ripple, is sustainability. Ripple has made a commitment to be carbon neutral by 2030 at the latest. We're ahead of schedule on that. We're part of a larger industry conversation and initiatives such as the Crypto Climate Accord, which is encouraging the entire crypto and blockchain industry to be carbon net zero by 2030. This truly does need to be an industry-wide effort to address sustainability in the crypto industry. We believe very much in that multi-chain future, and that's what we're building towards. We fundamentally believe crypto and fiat are complementary and not competitive. So in closing, as we kick off Ripple Swell 2021, I want to reiterate our vision. Our vision has been from the earliest days the Internet of Value, being able to move value as easily as information moves today. One of the co-founders of Ripple, Chris Larsen, coined this phrase nearly a decade ago, and for me, it still rings incredibly true. The Internet democratized information, and crypto and blockchain will do the same with value. As I started out with at the beginning of this talk, the world is only becoming more crypto-enabled, and the conversations that we'll have over the next 2 days are leading the way to bringing that future to light. As I said at the beginning, I am honored to be here today with all of you as we work to enable this movement of value around the world. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexis. I'm definitely very excited about this upcoming panel, which is crypto going mainstream. It really does fit perfectly into Swell's overarching theme, which is unlocking boundaries. How are we seeing crypto usage expand more into the mainstream? It seems like every day we hear about new crypto use cases, how it can solve real world problems for businesses and individuals. And I'm thrilled to be joined today by two folks who are uniquely qualified to weigh in on this topic. Stephen, the CEO of BitPay, and Neil, the CEO of CoinMe, and actually I should say both CEO and founders of those companies. And these are companies that are really behind bringing crypto to the masses, to the mainstream. Steve and Neil, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here at Swell.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
Let's start off by getting some of the basics checked off. Could you each introduce yourselves and your companies? I'm sure not everybody in the audience is as familiar as they might be with all the great progress that both BitPay and CoinMe have made so far. Stephen, let's start with you.
Sure. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of BitPay. We're a company that for more than 10 years now have been providing merchant solutions for companies to accept cryptocurrency payments on their e-commerce platforms or in person. We also handle payouts, so disbursements, so companies that want to offer their employees the ability to take a portion of their paycheck in crypto. We can manage that workflow for them as well. We also have a wallet that offers the ability to store, spend, buy, and sell crypto.
Fantastic. Thank you. Neil, over to you. Can you share a few words about yourself and about CoinMe?
Yes, hi, I'm Neil Bergquist, co-founder and CEO of CoinMe. CoinMe is the largest licensed cash exchange in the United States. We started back in early 2014, launching one of the first Bitcoin ATMs in the world, and have since evolved to really crypto enable a network where people can turn cash into Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin for cash pickup through partnerships with Coinstar and MoneyGram. We also operate a wallet for receiving, storing, and yearly sending money.
Fantastic. It's great to hear about, just a little bit about each of your companies and the journey you've been on. Let's dive in a little bit more. And actually, I'd love to try to give the audience a deeper sense of really kind of the tangible ways that your customers are using your individual services. Maybe, Neil, could you share a little bit more about who is your customer? What do they look like? How are they using the product? Maybe give some real world examples of how that's coming to life today.
Yes, people use Bitcoin a lot of different ways. It's been really fascinating watching how that has evolved over the last 7 years. But we have a portion of the population that uses our product to be able to use crypto for payments, whether it's goods or services that they're purchasing. We've examples of Etsy suppliers in Africa that want to receive Bitcoin because of the cost and the time delay to send fiat to them. They encourage a buyer to buy Bitcoin at our kiosk and send it to them. We've had a mother whose daughter was abroad in Italy who needed Bitcoin for a car repair, and first time she bought Bitcoin was at our kiosk to be able to send her daughter money. But we also have people that are crypto curious. In just a few clicks, you can buy Bitcoin at a Coinstar kiosk at your neighborhood grocery store. And so really appealing to the majority of the population that has heard of digital currency, is excited about it, but doesn't own any yet. And here's a really safe and easy way for them to be able to buy Bitcoin, get exposure to it, and see it more as a store of value. So really the medium of exchange and the store of value personas are using our product.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. It's really taking some of the mystery out of cryptocurrency and making it that much more accessible. I mean, Stephen, you're kind of on a different end of the transaction, if you will. Maybe dive a little bit more into your customers and how they are using BitPay.
Yeah, our customers span pretty much all industries. We have good traction within certain segments, but pretty much if you need to accept a payment and you want to enable your customers to pay with crypto, we have customers in that industry, and so a lot of we support, for our merchants, we support over 90 wallets, so 90 different apps for payment on our platform. So pretty much any cryptocurrency app and some non-cryptocurrency apps for payment that our merchants can take. advantage of. And we also partner with the companies to help them market and sell their products and services and raise awareness really among people that have cryptocurrency. And for the consumer, the person that has cryptocurrency in a wallet, we just offer a really convenient way to tap into that wealth and for you to buy things with it rather than have to move it to an exchange, sell it, and withdraw it to a bank. And instead, you can just make your purchases directly from your wallet.
That's fantastic. I mean, really removing some of the friction that's been challenging for folks to get familiar with, and again, see practical uses with crypto. Hugely helpful. You each have been on this journey for a while. As you think about the last several years, certainly the world has become more aware of crypto and the things it can do. How have you seen that evolve? Perhaps your target customers or the people that are taking advantage of the great services that you each provide. I'll start with you, Stephen.
Sorry, was that me? Or
yes,
Neil?
Stephen. Sorry.
Yeah, it's very exciting. As you see these waves of adoption and prices rising, more and more people are, jumping in and buying crypto and experimenting with it. So I think now around the world, probably the number's probably north of 100 million people that now have crypto, and so it's really exciting. The level of interest now and just the number of people and really this new demographic, it tends to skew younger, more technology savvy people. But for a lot of our customers, that's a very important demographic. And now, it's getting to a point where we see companies like Verifone now who have like 40% of the world's point of sale terminals, enabling their customers to be able to accept crypto at the point of sale and in person. So I think there will very, very soon, the day will come where people just expect to be able to pay with cryptocurrency or a blockchain enabled wallet as much as they expect to be able to pay with MasterCard and Visa.
Yeah. Yeah. Neil, any thoughts from you in terms of how you've seen things change in terms of the customers that are using CoinMe?
Yeah, when we launched the first licensed Bitcoin ATM in the U.S. back then, Bitcoin was about $450, and people were still mining at home or in the garage. And so actually a good portion of our customers were people mining Bitcoin and then going to the kiosk to pick up cash. That really isn't practical anymore, as mining is now at an industrial scale. And so that customer segment isn't using the product anymore because you can't really mine at home like you used to. And really it's evolved now where after 2017, when Bitcoin went to almost $20,000, after that, existing financial institutions started taking currency more seriously. And so our business model shifted away from operating our own kiosks to crypto enabling existing infrastructure. And an example of Coinstar, they have 20,000 kiosks around the world. We'd much rather crypto enable those kiosks than deploy our own hardware and infrastructure. And so our customer as a company in the B2B to C model has really evolved to working through these partnerships in order to get scale much faster.
Totally. Actually, I'd love to maybe dive in a little bit more there. Certainly, if we're really talking about bringing this new technology and crypto to the masses, it needs leverage. It's hard for small companies to have that reach. And I know both of you have, over the last several, frankly, months, announced some pretty significant and exciting new partnerships that I think are going to help propel the acceptance and the visibility of crypto to more and more people. I'd love to hear how that went. Some of these are more maybe, I don't want to say old school, but more established companies that are now looking to you, each of your companies, to help expose crypto to their customers. Stephen, you mentioned Verifone recently. Maybe share a little bit more about the nature of that partnership and what that's going to mean and how that's going to really increase exposure for BitPay and the benefits you deliver.
Yeah, over the years, we've anticipated that the day will come where in-person retail payments will expect to be able to pay in crypto. And so for years now, we've been really working out and ironing out the user experience for an in-person payment and making sure it's a great end-to-end workflow that you can handle refunds and everything. And so the partnership with Verifone, makes it so that any customer of Verifone, maybe with a software upgrade to their terminal, but if they're already on the latest version of Verifone, they can just basically activate and turn on crypto payment acceptance, and it from the back end, from a workflow perspective, it looks like every other payment type. But the customers walking into the store now have the option to pay in, Bitcoin, XRP, and a dozen other cryptocurrencies. And yeah, it's just great. And Verifone has a huge footprint. I think about 40% of the world's physical point of sale terminals, and so it's great. So they're now actively working on getting some of the initial customers to turn it on, and look forward to really giving people an opportunity to maybe go to a store nearby and try out a crypto payment. There are probably a lot of people that have crypto that haven't used it to pay for anything yet.
Right.
So that'll be exciting, and definitely looking forward to that.
Impressive. It's what a great partnership. And Neil, I mean, you recently, I mean, there was some news about CoinMe and a large U.S. retailer that came up recently. Maybe you could share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, through the partnership with Coinstar, they've been in many of these retailers for several decades. But as part of that, we actually educate retailers, and specifically grocers, around Bitcoin and the value proposition for it and how we can offer that in a regulated, safe, and compliant way. And as they become familiar with it and comfortable with it as a result of the education, they're happy to support it. And we recently announced that we're doing a pilot with Walmart, which is the largest retail grocer in the U.S. So we're running that for a few months, and hopefully all goes well, and we can roll it out broadly across the U.S. But kudos to Coinstar for really taking on the education baton. I mean, Bitcoin's confusing. The headlines are misleading. You really need to understand the underlying technology and the reg tech that gets implemented. And once you do that, which we've done over the last few years, we're now pleased to say that the largest grocers in the U.S. are now partnered with Coinstar and CoinMe to be able to offer the sale of Bitcoin in their stores.
That's exciting. So I guess for both of you, I mean, these are significant needle-moving partnerships. Would this have been possible 2 or 3 years ago, just in terms of the willingness of large established companies like a Vodafone, like a Walmart, to kind of be associated with crypto? It was still unknown. Were those conversations that were had years ago and just didn't come to fruition? It took till now. And what was it that kind of got things over the finish line now that weren't present when conversations were had in the past? I'll throw it up into either of you.
Well, I think a few years ago, so these conversations take years, right? And many of the companies, many of our direct merchant customers, as well as partners, Verifone, we've been talking to them for a long time, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years, and a lot of work and a lot of building of sort of mutual trust there to make these things happen. But recently, a fairly new customer to BitPay is PacSun. They said it took them about 3 weeks to implement BitPay as a payment method, and they said if it was going to be that easy, they would have done it years ago. So hopefully that message will get out there. It is easy. It's not that complicated. We can help companies with that through that process, and e-commerce and point of sale platforms as well, like Verifone.
Excellent. Neil, any sort of insights or observations about how the nature of that conversation changed to allow you to get to where you are today with some of these big partners?
It's certainly the growth in the market cap and adoption, and it almost seems like this year everywhere you look there's a cryptocurrency related headline. companies are eager to be crypto enabled, and for us it's really accelerated a lot of our partnership discussions, and we've developed an API that can crypto enable any kiosk, point of sale device, cashier, website, mobile app, and really for us that is the future. And it's exciting to see, just in terms of market adoption, it's exciting to see these large companies that have massive scale and footprints, and in some cases almost 100 years of operating history, want to offer cryptocurrency services to their customers. And it's 2021. It's really a sign of the times. And I think for Stephen and I both, and others that have been in the industry for a long time, we knew this time would come, but it's just really exciting to see it happening now and happening at such a fast pace.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, credit to both of you. You've been at this for years, and with the belief and obviously improving your product and building that trust, as you mentioned, Stephen, that allowed you to get to this point. So, kudos to both of you. Really impressive. I mean, as we look a little bit forward, I think people are still getting familiar. There's still a little bit of experimentation going on. I mean, you're working to bring crypto to the masses. Do you see a point of time in the future where people are using cryptocurrency to really interact and transact for day-to-day? I mean, will people go and buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks using crypto? And if so, is that something that's happening next year? Is that happening, 5 years out? You guys have your finger on the pulse. We'd be curious to hear what you're seeing from your vantage point.
Well, that's certainly our thesis at BitPay. So our goal is to build the best platform for managing the workflow of an end-to-end payment. And so, yeah, absolutely. Blockchains are a new kind of database, and I think they're going to be applied to all kinds of use cases, payments being one obvious one. Mm-hmm. So yes, you will pay for your Starbucks with crypto at some point.
Neil, from your side, and just in terms of adoption and sort of it hitting that next level of embrace by the general public?
I think it's happening more than maybe we recognize. I mean, people are already buying a Starbucks coffee with crypto. That's the partnership already. And people are using it as a medium of exchange. They're using it as a store of value. It's just incredible seeing the adoption. I think, latest surveys are saying we're close to 20% ownership in the United States, mm-hmm. just under 2% globally. And to say that for a technology that's just 11 years or 13 years for Bitcoin, but much less for all the other coins, the adoption for crypto has grown faster than the adoption for any other technology that we've seen. That's amazing. So it's happening already, and it'll continue to happen more. But I think as companies that start integrating blockchain and cryptocurrency technology into their infrastructure and their user experiences, people might be using cryptocurrency or blockchain and not even know it, just by leveraging the benefits of a decentralized ledger that's secure, where you can't have chargebacks or you can't have a double spend, and the ability to just operate more efficiently, I think, is coming everywhere, and people benefiting from that but may not even know that they're using crypto.
Yeah, it's a great point. Again, removing friction, almost making it seamless and transparent, such that it's just, you don't have to think about it, right? There's not an extra step. There's not extra machinations that you need to go through.
Yeah, so there might be ODL on the back end, but they have no idea, right?
Exactly. It's just about making their lives easier and addressing the pain point that they're experiencing. We touched a little bit on international. Certainly, from Ripple's perspective, we've had a strong focus on cross-border payments and how to facilitate that. How have you seen these trends in your business? Are there different levels of engagement or pace of adoption when you look at different geographies around the world? Again, I'll start with you, Stephen.
International transactions are a big part of our business. So oftentimes we'll find a company that has a vendor or supplier in a different maybe they're based in South America and they need to pay a supplier in the US or North America, and they'll find that a cryptocurrency payment is far more efficient and cost effective than many of their other options. And so that's driving a lot of adoption. So businesses, B2B transactions, international, is an important component of our business. And it's interesting because Bitcoin was, for the first time in history, where people had the ability to move money directly, person to person or point to point, globally, wherever they have internet access, and not have to involve counterparties in that transaction. So you have a digital asset that immediately when that transaction happens is, ownership transfers from sender to recipient. Recipient now has value that they own and that they hold and they can control without any counterparty needing to be involved in that. And so if you look at the banking system, the internet correspondent banking system, those payments have to route through multiple hops through trust relationships between, different types of banks, ultimately at, a transaction occurring between large money center banks that have these established relationships and exchanges between different currencies, perhaps. So Bitcoin was really a game changer from that perspective. And so, yeah, international transactions are a big part of what's driving adoption for us.
We're seeing the same thing. How about, Neil, I know you've seen sort of that remittance use case has been something when we were chatting earlier that you cited folks are leveraging the CoinMe technology for. Any other thoughts on what you're seeing there?
Yeah, I mean, to Stephen's point, the beauty of crypto and having an open ledger where any wallet address can receive money from anywhere in the world. And so in our situation, we have people that use cash to buy Bitcoin, and they load it into the CoinMe wallet, and then they can send that to any wallet address. And so our international activity is really people sending on-chain transactions to wallets that are abroad. As a company, we're working hard to build the infrastructure to go live in Latin America specifically. After some surveying, we launched a new initiative called cryptoliteracy.org that is really focused on educating the public about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And through some of that surveying, we found that in Latin America, the demand is much higher, actually, than in the United States. And I think down there, it's not just Bitcoin, it's even exposure and access to the US dollar on the blockchain in the form of a stable coin. But the demand is high, and we're excited to be able to go to market there, hopefully early next year.
Fantastic. We have a couple minutes left. I want to sort of look forward, crystal ball time. You each have been so closely involved in trying to, make this technology accessible to more and more people. What's the next step? What do you see on the horizon that's going to take it to the next level and broaden adoption that much more? Neil, I'll let you start and then pass it over quickly to Stephen.
Yeah, for us, it's really evolving beyond Bitcoin. If you just look at some of the data, Bitcoin is now a much smaller portion of the trading volume across the ecosystem, and so we're deploying multi-coin functionality across locations and within the wallet. So we're very excited about that. Adding additional payment types, we have real-time payments now with ACH that we'll be deploying, the ability to use a debit card, and so different on-ramps and off-ramps. And then, like I was saying earlier, international Latin America is a really exciting frontier, and being able to provide on-ramps and off-ramps there to be able to move in and out of cryptocurrency so that people can use cryptocurrencies as a store of value, as a medium of exchange, as a method for payment, and start living a multi-currency life. That's what we believe is the macro trend here. In the U.S., we all live, for the most part, in the dollar. But crypto has really awoken the public to living in a multi-currency life. And for example, in Argentina, that's already very common to try to not just have all your money in the Argentinian peso. So being able to enable people living in a multi-currency life through the CoinMe platform is our focus.
Awesome. Stephen.
Yeah, I would look to the younger generation. At BitPay, we've always been tried to go after those use cases, like with companies that provide video games and in-game economies and whatnot. And I think really when you think about it, kids a lot of times can't get bank accounts. So having a wallet with cryptocurrency in it gives them an opportunity to participate in the economy without where they may have been sort of blocked out previously. And so I think having teenagers and whatnot, getting them onto the platform, and a lot of what we're seeing with the video game world trying to financialize their platforms and introduce things like NFTs and whatnot into the games is huge, and it's going to be very popular and drive a ton of interest. And I think as those kids grow up, they'll want to continue to use crypto.
Absolutely. Well, incredible the progress that you both have made, and it's just, in our short conversation, you can see tangibly how crypto is indeed hitting the mainstream, hitting the masses, and there's tons more to go. But thank you both. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Neil, for sharing a little bit more about each of your companies and taking time for us today. I wish we had more time, but we'll end on that, and thanks again.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
There's no denying that 2021 has been a huge and pivotal year for crypto. We've seen the industry become mainstream everywhere from pop culture to the global regulatory stage. For those of you who have been working in the space, it's exciting to see how the industry as a whole has progressed, and as people have started to realize the potential of crypto, more and more use cases have started to take off, with DeFi, NFTs, DAOs, and much, much more. The conversation around crypto has moved beyond if to how and when. It's more evident than ever that in the future, everything that can be tokenized will be tokenized. Examples being real estate, stocks, bonds, carbon credits, and what we've already seen with NFTs through arts and collectibles. Assets that are tokenized are more liquid, allowing them to be exchanged more quickly and seamlessly than ever before the physical world. This is the basis for what we call the Internet of Value, a world where value is exchanged as easily as information on the internet, which has been Ripple's vision since day one. Crypto liquidity is not a new concept, and I would argue it's the backbone for every company in crypto. Liquidity is the premise of crypto. Without liquidity, the process of exchanging value is slow, expensive, and inefficient. And pre-2017, crypto liquidity was limited to a handful of exchanges around the world with only a few $1 million in daily traded volume across all assets. That's dramatically changed in the past few years as crypto has taken off, allowing for net new products and use cases. Since Ripple's inception, we have understood the potential of crypto to transform the global financial system, from changing the way money moves across the globe through near-instant payment settlement to the way we borrow and loan money through DeFi platforms. We firmly believe and have built this with RippleNet in mind. Ripple was an early pioneer in this space, leveraging XRPL, a blockchain designed specifically for payments, to tokenize fiat currencies in order to address the trillion-dollar challenges in cross-border payments for hundreds of our customers globally. As the industry has continued to mature and evolve, we've evolved our products as well. For example, last year, we expanded RippleNet from a cross-border payments network to a platform providing tokenized services that will bring crypto capabilities to the enterprise and prepare them for a future where crypto is front and center. As part of that, we started introducing new offerings in the lending space with line of credit, which allows financial institutions to use XRP to complete instant, low-cost cross-border transfers and pay it back at a later date. We also started addressing new use cases like treasury payments and SME payments in addition to global remittances. And in the last year, more and more of our customers have come to Ripple as they think about their crypto strategy. Customers who have witnessed the benefits of ODL firsthand and Ripple's ability to convert fiat currencies asked if we can source other assets, which brings us today to news and Ripple's latest product, Liquidity Hub. CEO Brad Garlinghouse gave us a sneak peek this morning during the session, and I'm excited to share more now. Liquidity Hub will enable enterprises to easily and efficiently source digital assets from a broad set of crypto markets. The product started out in-house as we look to source crypto liquidity from the market to use within our ODL flows for cross-border payments. The product supercharged ODL growth, making it easy for our internal teams to manage inventory and tap into a global liquidity pools through smart order routing. At optimized prices from market makers, exchanges, and over-the-counter desks, and ultimately dexes, simply put, accessing assets at the right time and venue for the best available price. As conversations with customers progress, we realize the opportunity to offer this for our customers as they look to offer the best end customer experience to buy, sell, and hold digital assets. Again, from the best prices from a breadth of liquidity venues. For anyone in crypto, liquidity is core to your business. We have firsthand experience in solving this problem for ourselves, so it was a natural step to bring this solution to our customers and any other enterprise company who wants to support crypto to their customers. To start, Liquidity Hub will support Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic, and BCH. But over time, we plan to expand this set of assets, and we provide liquidity for especially as more assets tokenize on blockchains. We're at the very beginning of what this can look like, and we believe that enterprises will one day want to access tokenized assets such as NFTs. The Liquidity Hub is designed with infrastructure and systems to support long-term crypto adoption. And in the future, every customer will join RippleNet with the same base service and a wallet designed to support both crypto and fiat. By adding this technology, customers can take advantage of the latest blockchain-enabled solutions that keep them at the cutting edge. The platform is designed to seamlessly upgrade and add new services as customers want them. In the future, customers can use their Ripple-enabled wallet to custody anything that's tokenized. Crypto liquidity is the common thread that underpins all of our products, from payments to lending to credit. Naturally, we see this as an opportunity for a product to exist around crypto liquidity itself as a standalone experience. Our goal is to ultimately build an ecosystem of enterprise-oriented crypto products that can efficiently and effectively service our customers. Now we'll show you a quick video on what liquidity is and how it can be used to support your business as you prepare for a crypto-enabled future.
It's no longer an idea or something on the horizon. It's here, a reality today. Crypto. And it's already a part of how businesses and people trade, move, and manage value. In 2021, established financial institutions such as PayPal, Square, Visa, and MasterCard built out crypto-based products and services. This type of institutional enthusiasm indicates that crypto is here to stay. Today, enterprises are looking to diversify asset holdings, to offer crypto trading services to end customers, to pay employees in crypto, and to accept crypto as a form of payment. To support these activities, institutions need access to crypto liquidity. Coming in 2022 and beyond, at Ripple, we're building Liquidity Hub. Once launched, Ripple's Liquidity Hub platform will enable companies to seamlessly access crypto from a variety of venues. The product will support a turnkey integration and allow companies to offer their end customers the ability to buy, sell, and hold crypto. Enterprises will be able to maintain separate accounts via Ripple's custody solution and monitor and analyze transactions through a comprehensive dashboard. But that will be just the beginning for Liquidity Hub. As a leading liquidity platform, it will enable many additional enterprise applications for crypto and serve as a cost-effective way to source a variety of new and cutting-edge crypto assets. Join us for this exciting journey as we explore new horizons and applications of crypto.
Okay, I'm Gap, and we've got some time with Ashish for a conversation. As Alexis mentioned, if you have questions following that amazing announcement and video, please put them in the chat box. We see them here, and we'll curate those and ask. With that said, Ashish, I just got the live report. We have over 200 people globally watching us right now, and I'm sure many of you guys have questions, but as you warm up your questions, let me start with this. Ashish, you were in our 5th global Swell, first time in New York. We've had them all over the world. This has been very hallmark, very important for Ripple. Share with us, reflect a little bit on maybe from the last couple of years, what's been memorable to you? We have an amazing launch today, but what are some key things that really keep you, thinking about Swell and the moment we're in, and maybe share 1 or 2 things that really stood out in the past?
Yeah, I absolutely love Swell. I love all the energy that comes with Swell as well. And, one thing is that, as you work through your day-to-day, you sometimes forget about how much progress we've made with amazing customers and partners and products that go along with them. And what Swell does, it's like a snapshot. And it enables you to sort of rise above and just look at, some of the progress we've made. And some of the customers that have been with us from Swell 1 to Swell 5, that is amazing to see them come along with our journey as well. And then today, with the 5th Swell, seeing how far some of these customers have come by not only thinking and helping us with the ODL product, the RippleNet product, but also helping us inform decisions on bringing a new product offering like Liquidity Hub to the market as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing with our customers, even when we launched or announced the blockchain awards earlier. Just amazing set of customers that's really helping us drive ODL and the business. What's looking back, even this year has been unusual. I know you say every year has been fascinating and interesting. 2021 definitely has been a fascinating year. If you go back a year ago to where we are today, what predictions would you say you were like spot on, this was going to happen, or what surprised you about this year?
Yeah, I mean, having been in the space for a long time, I always thought, next year is the year where there's going to be like massive institutional adoption. But I was right in 2020 because 2021, I think you really saw like institutions come into the space. Even some that had to eat their words from prior statements are now believers in everything that's going on with crypto. And I think that's perfect timing with some of the products that we wanted to offer. Some customers, prospective customers years ago that wouldn't ever dream of adopting ODL are saying, hey, listen, can we learn more about that product? And then I'm also excited about other institutions that potentially want to adopt other crypto assets. We now have a solution for them as well, and I think the timing is perfect there with Liquidity Hub. So again, 2021, a crazy year for a lot of reasons, but one thing that I'm super happy about is, hey, everyone's waking up. This is real. It's not going anywhere. Crypto and blockchain are going to be here, and Ripple is going to be there delivering it to enterprises.
That's a great segue into the big announcement today. Before we dive in, I see some questions in the audience, so thank you for submitting those. One question for you, Ashish. Question might be, what's the advantage of crypto liquidity? Like, why does that matter today? Why is crypto liquidity so important in terms of business and for financial institutions? Why should they?
That is amazing to see.
You.
It's like a snapshot. and it enables you to sort of rise above and just look at some of the progress we've made. And some of the customers that have been with us from Swell 1 to Swell 5, that is amazing to see them come along with our journey as well. And then today, with the 5th Swell, seeing how far some of these customers have come by not only thinking and helping us with the ODL product, the RippleNet product, but also helping us inform decisions on bringing a new product offering like Liquidity Hub to the market as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing with our customers, even when we launched or announced the blockchain awards earlier. Just amazing set of customers that's really helping us drive ODL and the business. What's looking back, even this year has been unusual. I know you say every year has been fascinating and interesting. 2021 definitely has been a fascinating year. If you go back a year ago to where we are today, what predictions would you say you were like spot on, this was going to happen, or what surprised you about this year?
Yeah, I mean, having been in the space for a long time, I always thought, next year is the year where there's going to be like massive institutional adoption. But I was right in 2020 because 2021, I think you really saw like institutions come into the space. Even some that had to eat their words from prior statements are now believers in everything that's going on with crypto. And I think that's perfect timing with some of the products that we wanted to offer. Some customers, prospective customers years ago that wouldn't ever dream of adopting ODL are saying, hey, listen, can we learn more about that product? And then I'm also excited about other institutions that potentially want to adopt other crypto assets. We now have a solution for them as well, and I think the timing is perfect there with Liquidity Hub. So again, 2021, a crazy year for a lot of reasons, but one thing that I'm super happy about is, hey, everyone's waking up. This is real. It's not going anywhere. Crypto and blockchain are going to be here, and Ripple is going to be there delivering it to enterprises.
That's a great segue into the big announcement today. Before we dive in, I see some questions in the audience, so thank you for submitting those. One question for you, Ashish. Question might be, what's the advantage of crypto liquidity? Like, why does that matter today? Why is crypto liquidity so important in terms of business and for financial institutions? Why should they care?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the Internet of Value. Again, part of Ripple's original vision and vision today, and that assets should move as freely as information does today with the Internet. And if you just had tokens without any liquidity, they would be static. You couldn't move them, you couldn't exchange them. And so with every crypto business today, you have a resulting side aspect of liquidity. And so we've seen that firsthand with ODL as more and more markets became available, more and more destinations became available to as well. And now we're able to offer ODL into 20 different destinations. And that's because crypto liquidity has grown as well. And as new assets make their way to blockchain, we're going to see more and more needs for liquidity, and Liquidity Hub is going to be there bringing those assets to enterprise customers in the future.
Great, and then that's a great segue to an audience question. The audience is asking, this is a question from the audience. So then why now, why is Liquidity Hub the right timing for Ripple today?
Yeah, that's a good question. Always amazing questions from the audience. Really, we have the most informed audience here at Ripple, which I love. So, why now? A couple of things that we already touched on. Number one, we're starting to see institutions wake up to crypto. I think that was a big change in 2021. I think that as a product guy in the crypto space, like I have been for years, I think you also have to look at the future. And I believe that every corporation in the world is going to want to adopt crypto at some point. There's going to be different assets that are tokenized, and enterprises are going to want to develop that. So looking into the future, I think this is a product that we want to get out early. And that's another reason. And the third reason is that we've been building liquidity products for years at Ripple through ODL, on-demand liquidity. We've been building that product since 2018. We have a lot of expertise. And so when our customers started saying, hey, we're looking to Ripple for fiat cross-border liquidity, could you also provide us with other assets? We were like, hey, that's not too far away from what we already do today with ODL. We already integrate with exchanges around the world. We're already very good at liquidity, so why not move into an adjacent space and give customers what they want now? And as I mentioned earlier, I think more and more customers are going to want this in the future. So let's get ahead of it. And I think we're lucky to have enterprise clients here at Ripple for years, building solid products and foundations.
So that is great context. I think many of our audience don't know that we have an internal platform that allows to power ODL and so allows crypto liquidity. So there's a question from the audience. What's it been like making that shift to an external product?
Yeah, so as the GM of Ripple, I always say, well, it's a big deal, team. Why couldn't we get this out last week? And as I've been told, hey, there are some differences in terms of offering a cross-border payments platform and a platform that sources liquidity for other assets like Bitcoin, Ether, and so forth. And so, I think a couple of things is that, hey, I said that some of the exchanges we already had integrated. I think there are other ones that we want integrated into Liquidity Hub for the breadth of assets. And then I also want us to be thinking about the future as well. And I think the future for a product like Liquidity Hub is not just the top 10 assets, but I think there is going to be this huge long tail in the future of almost any asset that will be tokenized, that can be tokenized, will be tokenized. And I think that there will be tokenized and made liquid through things like decentralized exchanges. And so I want the teams to start thinking about that future as well and start planning for that kind of future as well. And I think that's a little bit more important for a product like Liquidity Hub as compared to a product like ODL. So some similarities, but I've been told by the team, hey, there's a lot of differences too that we have to account for as well. But I'll point back, one of the luckiest things that we have going for us at Ripple is that we have amazing customers already and an amazing hardened enterprise product in the market. It makes going into these adjacent spaces a lot easier.
Now, there are existing solutions. So one might ask, well, this is an amazing offering. This is definitely something that we've been wanting. It's great that Ripple has this product that will be external facing. But they might ask, well, what's the competitive advantage or the differentiator for Liquidity Hub versus existing products and services out there?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Number one, a lot of the other products, and from what I know, all the other products really require you to pre-fund before you can actually buy the digital asset. Well, that's a problem for a lot of customers that are in this high growth space. Capital is an issue. Working capital is a bigger issue. And so what we learned from ODL is that, hey, these customers have a working capital issue. A line of credit was a big value proposition that worked for cross-border ODL customers. And we're finding that line of credit is also very, very critical for a Liquidity Hub customer. And again, I think that is a key product differentiator. You don't have to post up capital to source these digital assets from Liquidity Hub. And I think that's it's a good story to help our customers grow faster than their competition by adopting a product like Liquidity Hub.
Now, on that note, we had an announcement this morning with our first partner. Can you tell us a little bit more about who they are and how they'll be partnering with us on Liquidity Hub?
Yeah, super excited. The teams worked really hard on this, and we signed CoinMe. And CoinMe powers thousands of global Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ATMs around the world. Key partners such as Walmart, and provides folks with the ability to source cryptocurrencies. And we started talking to them about this product really early on, and they said, listen, this solves a big pain point for us. And what was great about it is that this company's already in the crypto space and having this product. They know the space really well. And hey, providing better access to liquidity solves a big problem for CoinMe. So we're excited to have them be part of our alpha release. Great team that has been around for a long time, just like Ripple has. And we're excited to help power a lot of the liquidity that is powering a lot of their ATMs across the globe. It's
pretty amazing because just a couple of weeks ago, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and we take her little Dino bank to one of those Coinstar kiosks, one of those one in Safeway, and we have her put it in there to get some money out so she understands the value of money and savings and things like that. But the fact that she could get this in crypto is amazing in the future, that to think that in this day and age that kids could save and then save fiat and then get crypto out, I think is pretty amazing into their wallet. So amazing future for, I guess, our children. Pretty amazing. What's the timeline for everyone else that's interested in Liquidity Hub?
Yeah, so the teams are working really hard on getting the release out for Liquidity Hub. We're looking at early 2022 to get Liquidity Hub out into the market for our initial release, the alpha release, and then we'll be expanding from there. So we're really close, and just a couple more cycles to get the product out there. And again, super excited to have CoinMe being one of the first to adopt the product in the market.
There is a question from the audience. Ashish, what do you anticipate seeing in 2022? A little bit of crystal ball for the future.
Yeah, so if 2021 was financial institutions adopting crypto, and we saw big money center banks interested in crypto, we saw different organizations around the world adopt crypto. I think 2022 is going to be about two things. I think number one, you're going to see corporations, not just financial institutions. You're going to see corporations adopt crypto. I think there's a lot of different use cases. We had Carlos early on talking about securities, and I think there's going to be even more of that happening in 2022. So I think that's going to continue, and I think a trend that we saw start happening in 2021 is only going to extend. I think things are going to move beyond NFTs in terms of tokenization, and this concept of the tokenization of everything is going to start to play out even further. And with that, I really am bullish on decentralized exchanges helping provide liquidity to that long tail of assets as they become tokenized as well. So I think 2021, I mean, the days are sort of flying by. We're having so much fun at Ripplegap, but 2022 is right around the corner, and I'm excited for 2022. And I don't have to say, next year will be the year, because I think that year was 2021, but I think 2022, let's continue all the great things that are happening in the crypto space into 2022.
Amazing. I think it's been an exciting year, as you said. Looking ahead, one last follow-up question to that. Do you think in the year 2022, as you talk about the tokenization of everything, the value of non-fungible tokens, do you think next year's a year that perhaps we could purchase an NFT on Amazon?
Well, I think that one thing with Amazon and Apple, I admire those companies a lot, but when they adopt, it's ready for prime time. And, I'm not sure when they're going to adopt, but I'm excited that more and more corporations are moving in that direction. But, again, when Amazon and Apple decide to do something in this space, I think it's a big signal to the market that, almost everyone is going to adopt at that point. And so I'm excited for that and see what happens in 2022 with Amazon and Apple and a whole bunch of other enterprises as well.
As you said, it's been a fantastic year. So looking forward to closing out this year and going into next year. It's been very exciting, and we have a very exciting future ahead. With that said, thank you to those who submitted questions. Hopefully we got to all of them. If not, we'll make sure we respond to those. Please make sure to go to ripple.com/liquidity-hub to find out more. Thank you.
So, welcome to Orang Dayalame. Thank you for being here. Orang is the CTO and the co-founder of Extopay, and he's going to speak about off-grid payments and ID. So, without further ado, the floor is yours.
Very good. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So Okay, when I'm presenting, I don't see the chat window. So if somebody has a question or if there are any issues, it would be great if somebody could let me know with audio. Happy to be here and sharing with you a solution we're working on. I'm the co-founder of 2 startups that are contributing to the solutions we'll explain. One of them is Exto Labs. We're building sort of a last mile solution for digital payments and identity. And another one is Ethereum, which is building this biometric smart card, including the semiconductors that enable a compact, sophisticated sort of low-cost device. So today I'm going to focus on aspects of the system which are really unique, and that is to do off-grid digital payments. By off-grid, we mean if there is no internet connection. I think James earlier in describing the central bank digital currencies, James Daly described that this has become a requirement for central banks. It's sort of a mandatory capability, and it's a challenging problem to secure value when you don't have access to a network. So we'll try to share with you some of what we're doing. I think just to give you an overview of Extopay, this is an open loop payment system we're developing. By open loop, we don't want to create a walled garden type platform, sort of like, and allow multiple financial service providers or payment service providers to participate in this. And we're building it on a very deep set of open source platforms. Right now, we've based a lot of our solutions on a fork of Ripple and BRD wallets. And we're now soon going to be integrating with Fineract and Mojaloop to sort of offer interoperability with other payment systems and offer some core banking capabilities. So again, the emphasis today I want to kind of have is on universal access. So in digital payments, we always focus on mobile, and it goes a lot of places, but we forget about the fact that much of the world, and even in mature economies, there is good percentages of people that don't have access to smartphones, and connectivity is not always reliable everywhere. So we've relied on card payments in mature economies to get that universality, but those are too expensive and too complicated. The transaction fees are not acceptable. So a new form of universal access device is required that can really cater to the largest populations. Now, if you want to do something that's like cash, being able to work offline and without an internet connection becomes a real need. And one has to think about both the wallets for consumers as well as what is the point of sale systems that merchants will use. In this system that we've designed, it almost required us to have a built-in digital identity. We use it for, aside from the fact that there's compliance issues we needed to address, so for the security of the offline system, we rely on this digital identity with verifiable credentials. So these are the topics on red that I will focus on. There are other aspects of the system, but my main focus will be on these topics. So, drilling a little bit again into this need for offline payments. So we've been focused before even CBDCs showed up for the past several years on really addressing this gap that we see in emerging markets. Even though mobile money has been exceptionally successful, now over 1 billion mobile money accounts, hundreds of mobile money service providers, sort of this gig economy with money agents enabling unbanked users to cash in and cash out. And the transaction volumes are becoming impressive. But this is only, 10 to 20% of the transactions in many of these emerging countries, markets, and still 90% of the transactions are in cash. A lot of consumers still lack smartphones. The governor of Bank of Japan was saying that even in Japan, 30% of their population doesn't have a smartphone, if you're elderly alike. So it's not in emerging economies, even though $50 smartphones have been around now for a few years, it's a very slow adoption. So, and then there is connectivity issues. A lot of consumers don't have access to connectivity. And, as a result, results, not just these, billions of people are not getting access to digital payments. So there's a real need to be able to do off-grid digital payments when there's no internet connectivity. Again, this is very challenging. There were attempts at this in the 90s with Mondex and others. But one needs a very low-cost universal access device that requires very compact designs, packing a lot of technology into sort of, and it essentially requires, it's next to impossible to do it with off-the-shelf semiconductors in a scalable way. So you need to do custom low-power electronics for it. But securing offline value and ways to recover it are some of the big question marks that need to be addressed. So I'll go back to the CBDC world because while we were working on this sort of blue ocean of offline, most of the commercial entities are focused where mobile is, and they don't worry about where it's not. But central banks can't do that. If they're issuing a sovereign digital currency, it has to be universally accessible, and we see those requirements now from all the central banks. The CBDC efforts are gaining momentum. They're still slow, but there has been a lot of trials. There's a few. Again, James talked about this. China is in sort of pilot/rollout mode. We've seen in their Caribbean an actual system launched, and in all of these settings, this offline capability still remains a challenge to be addressed. And what we see right now is a acceleration of what the central banks are doing. And again, I'll get into too much of this. I think James Daly's presentation described the trends in this market, but kind of what's important is that a lot of stakeholders have spoken. So you'll find a Bank of International Settlements report that gathered the essential requirements from many of the central banks who've been experimenting. And recently, the Monetary Authority of Singapore had a global CBDC challenge with a lot of the stakeholders, again, the World Bank, IMF, Asian Development Bank, many of the financial inclusion interested parties like the UN parties that you see here sort of have partnered with them. And our team was one of the teams selected as one of the 15 finalists. So the system that you'll see us describe here that we're building, has addressed a number of problem statements that these banks are identifying. Again, for focusing on the top 4 blocks that you see in green. So, how do you address users without smartphones? How do you secure this system, still keep it accessible for low literacy or elderly, or in terms of that type of accessibility? Can there be payments without internet? How do you recover lost funds for these type of offline value? So I won't get into the other problem statements, but just focusing on these. Our answer to this was this Extopay system that we're building. It includes a smart card, which you'll see soon in a video, as well as mobile wallets. These act both as wallets for the consumers as well as point of sale devices. So we've kind of democratized. It's not that card to big brick POS with a lot of intermediaries to enable that. We're really kind of turning this card into a equivalent of a wallet that can secure transactions and talk to any other device, whether it's a smartphone or another card. And therefore, we use Bluetooth and QR codes as a means of doing transactions between these devices, because that's the ideal communication that would let you talk to every phone. And NFC is there. We have an NFC capability, but not every phone supports that. So we'll talk a little bit about these wallets. We've gone with a distributed ledger backend for multiple reasons. This is a permissioned distributed ledger that's meant to be operated by financial service provider and payment service providers. Distributed ledgers do some very interesting things if you want to really lower costs of transactions. First of all, they push the security to the edge where the cryptography and the keys are in the wallets, so that if you design it properly and if you have multi-factor authentication and secure sort of devices in the wallets, they solve a lot of the account takeover problems that cause significant fraud and leakage in typical payment systems. And that's why, a lot of we see the 0.5% to 2-3% merchant transaction fees. So the key management inherent in distributed ledgers kind of solves that problem. But also the distributed ledgers themselves allow for resilience. In our architecture, we're creating private distributed ledgers that individual institutions can operate. But we also allow essentially interledger transactions that allows, creates kind of an open loop network, similar to what Visa and MasterCard have, where multiple institutions can interact. If you have a merchant acquired by one entity and a consumer, has been issued a card, or an account by another entity, these two parties can interact. And with a distributed ledger architecture, you remove a number of intermediaries, switch operators, different aggregators, POS players. A lot of that, players in that equation are eliminated. There are scalability issues that need to be addressed, which we'll talk about, and there are issues with keeping the privacy PII information, and providing user control while at the same time you're addressing compliance issues. So I'll show you a quick video here. Hopefully you will all be able to hear it. The Exto cards provide a tamper-resistant, secure element, on-card private fingerprint recognition, and e-ink display, and navigation touch wheel, Bluetooth, NFC, and USB connectivity. The user simply sets up the card by providing 10 samples of their fingerprints. These are stored privately on the card and used for multi-factor authentication in combination with private keys. As a backup, the user is provided the option to provide a PIN. This PIN is only used in case the fingerprints are injured and the user cannot access the card through fingerprint.
So now we'll show how the agent onboards a new customer. Hit activate, take the customer's photo. Enter their name. Possibly check their ID. Say done. Then we scan their card. It connects to the card. Now waits for the agent card, has to approve it. And now it's pushing the identity information to the customer card. And now she's ready to go, except she doesn't have any money on her card. I can send her some funds to approve it on my card. Now we're done. I open my wallet, choose receive, enter an amount, hit request, scan the card, wait for it to connect. Now waiting for the card owner to say okay. And now we're confirming it with the back end. Finalizing with the card. Now the payment's complete. Okay, now we'll show a phone to card payment. Power up the card, authenticate myself, and then it shows a QR code which will be used to establish a secure Bluetooth connection. Now on the phone side, I enter send, choose an amount, scan the QR code, sets up a secure, checks my balance. Now it's waiting for my own card to agree. This card signs the transaction, authorizing the phone to send the funds to the other card. So if someone had my phone alone, they can receive money to it, but they can't send money without the matching card. And then it shows on the receiving side that he's received $14. Now we'll demonstrate a card to phone payment when the phone is offline. And I've set up this phone so it can't talk to the back end. I authenticate on the card, shows the QR code. Now on the phone, I choose receive, $10, request, scan the card, uses the QR code to establish a secure Bluetooth connection. I agree to pay, and the payment's complete. Okay, so we open our wallet, hit receive, and now if I want to check the card holder's identity, I hit the ID button, scan their card. Now it's requesting a photo that's been saved on the card when it was opened with the bank. And now I can compare authorized user with the person there. If they look good, I can go ahead with the request. And then they approve. All right, now we'll show an offline card-to-card transaction. I choose card to card, and I will receive. Now I enter an amount, let's say $21. Oops. Okay. Looks to connect to the card over Bluetooth. And now we compare these codes, make sure they're the same. That proves that we're talking to each other. We both agree. And now I agree to accept this payment that's going to expire in a week. And they agree to send. And payment's complete.
So we open up the e-ticket app, and we have all of our
Okay, so you get a sense of what we're able to do with this system. Hopefully the audio and video was playing. I didn't see any complaints, but just going on with this, focusing on, again, we have mobile wallets, but that one of the instruments needed to enable the type of offline payment you saw last in that video is an instrument like this type of a smart card that you saw in action. And what we have is a biometric sensor, a secure display. We've effectively a secure enclave with cryptography that allows the type of signatures that distributed ledgers need, a way of interacting, and then connectivity, Bluetooth, NFC, and alike. And what this does is it allows you to bring in the security of a point of sale system effectively into every card, so that the transactions that come out of this card are secure, just like if you were doing a Bitcoin transaction. Everyone can see those transactions, but only the recipients with the private keys of those accounts could really unlock the value. So that allows us a lot of ability to pass these transactions through unsecured devices, and that's the half online, half offline, or half online mode. In the full offline mode, we keep a small ledger in the secure enclave of the card, and then try to use semiconductor defenses to protect that amount that's stored on the card, and avoid double spend. But we're semiconductor experts, and we know that that these accounts can be hacked. If there's a lot of value sitting offline, you can spend a lot of resources to invasively get credentials out of chips, in which case you need to make sure the whole system doesn't come down. So it becomes a strategies have to be used to make sure you can disable accounts. We came up with this notion of an expiring currency, so that we would get people to come back to the network and report their transactions. And therefore, if any card was attacked and double spending, we could detect it and then propagate a block list to others, so that the honeypot would be limited. And then the verifiable credentials and the ID becomes a way to make sure that counterfeit card that's not issued for the person is not being used, because one of the attack vectors will be producing, hacking my account and then producing, 10,000, counterfeit cards that can go and pretend they're me, extracting value from offline users, and that can be protected with the verifiable credentials. So our overall system involves agent solutions that can onboard people very easily, load value, cash in, cash out through agents, or through banking APIs. There is a distributed ledger, a hierarchical distributed ledger. We use these methods of securing the offline transactions that I described. And really, this kind of a design and the edge-based cryptography can reduce a lot of the fraud that happens typically in systems like this. So the notion of combining biometrics and multi-factor authentication with this private key that's in the cards really secures the 90-95% of the account takeovers. And that leads to a situation where one can have a sustainably low transaction system and migrate the value to elsewhere in the financial services that are enabled. Just a little bit about the integration work we're doing. This is kind of an overview of the system. We have our wallets, we have our agent apps. We use sort of a heterogeneous sources of data for onboarding people before we stamp the verifiable credential IDs into the cards. These can be photo IDs, national databases, in some markets, SMS IDs have been made available, or banking, identities. All of those can be brought in. We have the backend system that manages our, ledger and payment transactions, and we are integrating with Fineract, and we're basically trying to handle our account creation, KYC databases, account orchestration, through Mifos Fineract initially, but we're also interested in Mojaloop in order to get interoperability with other payment systems. We are a second-tier payment solution, so the actual minting of CBDCs and wholesale transactions, RTGS-like functionality or cross-border happens with other systems. But these systems like R3 Corda or Hyperledger, but these systems aren't scalable, and they don't handle the features that you need to do offline payments and some of the features that are needed in a retail scenario. I think it's very important for these systems to be open loop. So what you see here is that we can essentially run instances like this for different financial service providers or payment providers, and that's one of the big attributes that we've gotten away. As mobile money has come out, everything is a walled garden, which is an app, and that's creating a lot of data monopolies and winner-takes-all type scenarios that don't work well for consumers. One of the fundamental attributes of the system also we're trying to address is this balance between data, and compliance and privacy. And I think at the heart of that is the digital identity system that we built into this. So, essentially we're using verifiable credentials. We use, ground truth when people are onboarded, but the users carry their identity and they can share pieces of it with who they need to. The payment service provider, the financial institutions can know all of these, but what we're trying to do is not allow counterparties to collect information on users and put that in the control of the users. So the compliance, KYC, AML, CFT is addressed, but we're trying to balance it with the user deciding who they can share it with, and then not allowing those recipients, those counterparties, to collect that information. Just to wrap it up, most of this system is open, and we will put our software out in an open source fashion too as soon as it stabilizes. But the hardware here also needs to be open. And when it comes to hardware, you can't do this with open source methods. It really has to be an open standard. So this hardware needs something like EMV to ensure sort of standardization and interoperability, but it needs to be accessible to many suppliers. So it has to have a non-discriminatory licensing of IP associated with it, kind of like Wi-Fi is. When you that standard allows people to go make Wi-Fi chips, and they can meet the interoperability requirements of the MAC and the communication layers and so on and so forth. Even the RF, through interface standards. So I don't know when this will happen. It's early in the days of digital currencies, but we're going to advocate for an open standard here as well. So with that, I'm going to stop, and hopefully, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, so there's a question about cost. So the cost of these cards need to be in the, right now our smart cards cost about $2–3, and obviously these cards pack more functionality on them, but the costs need to be something between $4 to $10 in volume, and that's achievable, but it does require a custom semiconductor, not just for cost, but also for power and for security. So initially, the costs are going to be in the north of $10, $15 range. But if the same volumes of normal cards appear, and if the right optimizations happen, there's no reason that these cards can be extremely low cost. But given that the transaction revenues can be lowered in this type of a system, easily, when that 0.5% to 2–3% is gone, there needs to be that easily makes up for the extra cards of the cost even today. Batteries. So there's a question about, do they need batteries? So The current cards we have are rechargeable, so they last about a few months because in our first generations we're using off-the-shelf semiconductors, but we have been designing in parallel ultra low power SoC that will extend the life to 2 years plus. We are doing energy harvesting in that version, so a slightly thicker version of the card that wouldn't be compliant with EMV can have replaceable batteries in it. So that's the power is a big issue. We need to make it if it's mass product, we want to make it so that people don't know any difference between this and normal cards. Is there an SDK? Yes, we're trying to develop SDKs and APIs, but we're still early in our completing the system, the MVP, and we'll get to that phase to open this up to third parties. Yeah, so the manufacturing and scalability of this is extremely difficult. This is, this compact type of form factor is a very challenging environment for achieving scalability. And that's why I keep talking about the single SoC. The secure enclave in this type of a card needs to subsume Bluetooth, needs to bring in very complex crypto engines, including zero-knowledge proof engines that are very computationally intensive. It has an image processing problem with the fingerprint recognition. You have to deal with special electronics to drive the displays. So all of these need to be put into a single SoC and done not in firmware. You cannot get the power that you need if you implement these things in firmware. So there has to be a parallelization and implementation in dedicated gates along with a processor, but you don't want to do the heavy computation. So those are the types of efforts that are required to get the manufacturing of these in scale. Very good. I'm trying to read through the questions anymore. Is there a pilot in place? So we are. We've been doing testing in small scale, but we're focused in East Africa and in India, and we have actual financial partners lining up that we'll be doing pilots with. A few, we are part of the mass project that will go into a proof of concept phase, next. So you guys are getting an early peek into this, and again, we're lucky to have a number of key personnel from Fineract as part of our team. So James Daly, Istvan, Ed Cable. I'm probably forgetting sort of names here, but we're very lucky to have them participating. So we will work very closely with the community and hopefully share the platform and results with you. So let's see. There is a question. Volgarda. A few seconds ago, Aldo's way I could use a simulator of that smart card. Yeah, as far as a phone simulator, we started like that, but now we have the cards, and when you're on a phone, yeah, so we've moved, our resources are limited, so all of our focus has been on the card itself, and we haven't really kept up that early simulator we had in the early days. Otherwise, that would be a good tool to share with everyone that doesn't have access to the hardware. We'll have to come back to that. In any case, I'm available for any questions after this session, or if any of you have interests, my email, I'll put it down here. So feel free to reach out, and we'll share what we can with you. So Javier, do I we still have time, I guess, left in this. Maybe I finished early, correct?
Yes. We have 10 more minutes or 13 more
Okay.
minutes.
All right, so then I can talk a little bit about our interest in Fineract, maybe without any slides. So we're very interested in Fineract CN.
There is a question from Ed. Ed was,
oh, sorry.
what usability testing have you done with the card in the field, especially with users at the base of the pyramid?
Right. So we have launched 2 other applications of the card that have gone in the hands of, I would say, about 2,000 people. One of them, so they were not this payment scenario, but one of them was a secure online access solution called BeamU. And we did a Kickstarter on this, and several thousand people got the cards, and we were kind of doing a FIDO U2F authentication and a password vault, and that ended up really showing us usability issues for users, and we kind of built confidence that the cards could be mass produced. We then created a crypto wallet version of this card. You'll find that on extowallet.com, and we did test with another group of users, and that was really very similar to this wallet use. And I was using our, that's basically what turned into Extopay, except instead of tying to this other network that we were showing you, we were tied to the public crypto network. So we were, it was a Bitcoin and Ethereum and ERC20 tokens and whatnot. So in that setting, we saw it in action with users. And that's where, let's say, the issue of recovery was very obvious. This notion of writing down 24 passphrase, to recover your wallet is not a feasible thing in a real payment use case. So we had to come up with ways of having a recovery account and means of knowing that who that account. These are very strange systems, because when you push the key generation into the wallet, you don't really, the backend kind of doesn't know about where the account was created. So when you lose that wallet, how do you recover it? So we've addressed those types of issues that we learned in the crypto wallet scenario. So those were the places, Ed, that we've done partial system testing. So the actual payment use case, the video was showing it to be more complex, that is, but we put a lot of effort in. If you paid attention to what the payer was doing, it was no more difficult than a credit card payment. They were basically presenting, turning on the card, pressing a fingerprint, then a QR code would appear. The merchant was scanning it, and the payer was saying okay to an amount that they would see on their screen. So it's very much the same steps in a normal payment, which is a QR code scan and then approval of a payment. So we've tried to make it extremely simple for the users, so that even an elderly person, almost like myself, can use it. But on the other side, there is obviously, somebody has to enter the amount that you require, and that is what it is. So there's an author audience phenomena here, where somebody can do that work of, it's either the merchant or in a peer-to-peer setting, someone who knows how to enter the amounts, and then the recipient only does a very simple transaction. So we're getting pretty good results in early evaluations by in-house kind of consumer tests. We haven't still gone out to a larger market. I'm sure we'll have many issues to address in the real world. So
okay, great.
Yeah, so again, just to tie it back to the Fineract community, for us, there are some basic account creation, KYC, account orchestration needs. And this is what allows us to really work with Fineract CN and try to take advantage of this sort of future direction that, where scalability and other issues can be addressed. So we're, relying on the guidance of many of your sort of team members to help us build that type of integration together. And we think that a payment system that can reach larger populations in these emerging markets and be disruptive in terms of that transaction fee is going to be a very important tool to bring people to financial services. And ultimately, it's through those financial services that the system needs to be monetized. So, creditworthiness data will come from these type of payment systems and loan origination. What banks and financial institutions do can be satisfied. That's one of our reasons to be interested in Fineract as well, that we ultimately see data generated from a payment system like this that can be exploited in the type of financial services that Fineract enables.
Right. Awesome. Very interesting.
Thank you, and
good luck.
Pleasure to meet everyone.
We have the next session in 7 minutes.
Traditional banking methods present antiquated problems that take longer to solve and harder to avoid. We all know the challenges that the banking industry is facing. Consumer demands are growing faster, compliance regulations are becoming more strict, future-ready competitors are overtaking the market, and correspondent bank relationships are proving to be less sustainable. The solution is simple. Your future in cross-border payments execution demands modern alternatives. Our Alchemy and Swiss Route Service Solutions now provides financial institutions with an additional expanded service range and a unique, non-disruptive connection to a diverse selection of automated, end-to-end cross-border payment services facilitators, providing banks with options and essential value in cross-border payment alternatives through globally trusted brands such as Ripple, MasterCard, Cross-Border Services, and now Thunes. Although unique by their own design and consumer requirements, all these alternative avenues share a common goal: assuring business continuity and obtaining scalable growth by leveraging a single existent platform's connection and integration, a consistent service quality with automated back offices, real-time transactions through direct channels, reduced risk from optimal compliance standards, significant reduction in operational costs and transaction charges, a cloud-based environment for ease of access. From origination through processing, orchestration, clearing, and settlement, you are guaranteed a fully compliant integration on secured platforms that are currently sustaining over 50 Caribbean banks and financial institutions. Ask us about alternative cross-border payment services and discover a world of seamless payment options and new rails. This is the power of Alchemy and Swiss Route Services, brought to you by Ibis Management Associates.
Okay.
Sounds great. Yeah. So first of all, thanks to CAB for welcoming us to this event. Very excited to be here and keen to share with everyone what Tunes and Ibis management have been able to craft together over the last month or so, and we believe this will be a truly exciting offering for the region. For Tunes in particular, this is a very new region for us, but I believe our underlying proposition is very fit for purpose in terms of the solution we can offer, but also from very timely in terms of helping to solve some of the challenges in the region as well. So very recently, Ibis and Tunes have formed a official partnership. A lot of you may be using the Ibis solution already to facilitate cross-border payments, but going forward through this partnership, hopefully we will be able to together deliver more option for you in your way of sending money overseas. And I will share a bit more in details a bit later how exactly that can be achieved. Maybe we can flip on to the next slide, please. All right, can we see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the Tunes team here, there are two of us with the Tunes team here today. Maybe Albert, you want to do a quick introduction of yourself as well?
Sure. No, thank you, Dawei. So, no, I am really excited to be part of this project, let's say. So we are really confident that it's gonna be a huge support for the region. And we are really available for any discussions you guys want to have about this. So coming from the correspondent banking world and also Swift, I do understand what the challenges are. I'm based in Brazil, in São Paulo, Brazil. So I'm covering from the business development perspective all the region, the Latin, Caribbean, and Central America as well. And anytime, so please do drop us a message if you want to discuss in details. That way we'll give you a brief idea today. Of course, there are much more to be discussed. So I'm free and available anytime.
Great, thanks, Alberto. All right, thanks everyone again. So my name is Dawei. I head up our global strategic partnerships, helping technical platforms such as Ibis to be able to extend additional service offerings. So once again, delighted to have formalized this partnership with Ibis Management Associates as well. So what does Tunes do? This is a very good visual illustration of what Tunes does. So over the last 5 to 10 years or so, Tunes has gone to different markets across the world. And those markets now, the number of those markets is now 120 markets. And we have gone to all those 120 markets. We have identified what is the most relevant options to get money delivered into those markets, market by market. So for some of those markets, it's bank account. For some of those markets, it's mobile wallets. So in particular, in Africa, those wallets are the likes of M-Pesa in Kenya, MTN in South Africa, Airtel in Tanzania, and so on. And in China, the relevant wallets are the likes of Alipay, WeChat Pay, and Bcash in Bangladesh. So Tunes has done the plumbing, if you like, into all those markets, connecting technically and commercially with all those relevant payments provided in those markets. And by creating a network as such, we're able to deliver funds into those markets seamlessly and instantaneously. So very similar to how the current corresponding banking relationship would work, where all the banks would have to formulate commercial relationships and also technical relationships via Swift to all the different payout options. But via Tunes, through the single relationship, you will be able to deliver your funds seamlessly to all those markets. So we currently can handle 60 different types of currencies in terms of local payout. And our ability to pay out into these 120 markets are supported by 300 plus payout options across those different markets as well. And in most of those markets, we can reach at least 80 to 90% of the local population in terms of our ability to deliver money into those markets. And technically, this is what a solution would look like as well. So we have our network is fit for purpose for a number of users in the market. And of course, for banks, this is one of the most intuitive use cases. So if you are a bank looking to send P2P remittance, looking to do mass payout for large corporates who are looking to pay their suppliers or employees, or if you're looking to conduct trade invoice payments as well, Tunes will be the right partner for you to support this. And again, we are able to facilitate this through bank accounts, mobile wallets, and cash pickup locations as well. We believe this payout network is much more dynamic than the current corresponding banking relationship, where it is only able to deliver funds into bank account. Because for the reason that in a lot of markets, the likes of bank accounts are just not as relevant anymore. Even if we take China, for example, everyone pretty much have a bank account these days, but people still prefer to interact with their day-to-day financial services via mobile wallets. So this is why the likes of Alipay and WeChat Pay are hugely dominating in those markets. And our ability to deliver funds into those type of wallets will be truly differentiating for a bank's value proposition when it comes to cross-border payments. And so how do we achieve this, and why does our solution really differ to the current corresponding banking relationship? So at the very top, this is the typical traditional corresponding banking operating model, where you have layers and layers of banks in between. And what that naturally drives to is slightly higher fees, in lack of transparency when it comes to FX and charges. And also, you don't really have a single control or visibility of the transaction, because the process goes through silos of different banks. And then if you go to the very bottom, this is the tunes proposition. So you would only need to own a relationship with the tunes, and then we will manage the downstream relationship with the different payout locations. And because we own those payout locations ourselves, we have those relationships directly. That means we can provide full visibility when it comes to the status of the transaction. And because we're eliminating all the middlemen as well, that means our fees will be more competitive in the market as well. So overall, a much more transparent value proposition, and overall a much more economical value proposition when it comes to cross-border payments as well. And maybe just to share some of the use cases that we're facilitating already for a lot of players in the market, some of them are beyond the typical bank transfers. So we can facilitate C2C, the traditional remittance use cases very well. We have some of the largest remittance providers working with us as our customers, which really is a great stamp of approval for us to support them. We can help the more gig economy platforms to do mass payout as well. So think of guys like Airbnb, Upwork, Grab, where a lot of mass disbursements required to pay the local drivers or to pay the local freelancers, and we're well positioned to do so. We also help a lot of the new gig economy platforms to collect funds as well. So for example, in Europe, we help the likes of Deliveroo and Uber to collect funds across different markets. So the restaurants and the platform can get paid by the consumers who are ordering food as well. And then in the B2B space, I guess this is where it's most relevant for the audience here. So traditional business payments, invoice payments, where we're able to provide local payout in some of the hardest to reach markets across the world. And across a lot of those markets, for China, for example, we're able to do local payout in both USD and CNY, which I believe is a quite unique offering as well. And yeah, just to share a little bit some of the key logos that we are very proud to have to be our customers already, and we very much would like to have more logos from this region, particularly the banks, to be part of this page as well, because we believe we really can offer a very unique value proposition for the banks in this region. If you have any, if this presentation is very brief and it's a super high level in terms of what we do. So if you would like to hear more details, please do reach out to Alberto and myself as well to understand more. And also there, of course, the Ibis team who will be providing the technical platform to supporting all cross-border payments as well.
Thank you so much for your presentation this afternoon. I know that you had a little bit of challenge there as well. Morales, I think, has been trying to get on, but there seems to be some, so I'll give you a couple minutes, Morales, to wrap up your segment.
Well, first of all, congrats to the CAB board as well as the Secretariat for organizing this wonderful conference, virtual conference remotely, and bringing us all together in this virtual conference room. So happy to see you all. Yeah, my name is on screen, so that doesn't need any any introduction. I was actually trying to say that I was here to bring you all some exciting news with great opportunities for you all to bank on. And that was actually the announcement of the strategic partnership that we formalized with Toons, our friends from Toons, who actually introduced themselves, and they are actually a licensed payment service provider utilizing their own global payment network, which you have seen just now what they have presented. The beauty of this is that we are happy to announce this partnership and the integration of with our famous Alchemy Connect platform, garnished to actually fulfill our duty towards CAB as a long-time service member, to bring options to the CAB community, the CAB members, basically, to that are actually faced with the de-risking phenomenon and challenged with obtaining as well as maintaining their respective US dollar correspondent bank relationships. Engaging with Tunes basically enables us to provide you, our members, or the CAB members, as well as our clients, with yet another alternative cross-border payment rail in the space of cross-border payments through a fully integrated as well as automated STP payment processing solution. So yeah, if there are any questions, or you want to know more, please visit our booth in the exhibition room, and or either contact me directly. And I guess you all know where and how to find me to learn more about all our alternative cross-border payment options and our other solutions and services, as well as to learn more about Tune.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's panel, How Real-Time Payments Will Change the Bill Payments Landscape. Thank you again to our audience today for spending some of your valuable time with us. I'm Bill Albertazzi, Research Director for IT Group's Retail Banking and Payments Practice, and I will be moderating this panel of industry experts on bill payments. What an exciting time, and actually challenging at the same time, it is to be part of the payments industry. There's so many changes taking place. Consumer demands and expectations continue to evolve, and the use of technology and digital tools in our personal day-to-day lives have now raised the bar for consumer expectations, including as it relates to bill payment. Before I set the stage for our discussion, let me introduce our panelists. We are joined by Sue. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's panel, How Real-Time Payments Will Change the Bill Payments Landscape. Thank you again to our audience today for spending some of your valuable 68% of the Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's panel, How Real-Time Payments Will Change the Bill Payments Landscape. Thank you again to our audience today for spending some of your valuable time with us. I'm Bill Albertazzi, Research Director for IT Group's Retail Banking and Payments Practice, and I will be moderating this panel of industry experts on bill payments. What an exciting time, and actually challenging at the same time, it is to be part of the payments industry. There's so many changes taking place. Consumer demands and
we move data and payments securely through different groups. And in terms